All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Last night was a very rough period for our city, but today I think we saw a lot more of what Baltimore is about. We saw people coming together to reclaim our city, to clean our city, and to help heal our city. I think this can be our defining moment and not the darkest days that we saw yesterday. I spent the morning talking to residents. I visited along North Avenue where residents were cleaning up and tried to give comfort to people who know that their lives are going to be disrupted in major ways for a long time because of the damage that was done to their community. I saw the damage that was done to Mondawmin Mall, and it breaks my heart because those of us who are from Baltimore know how hard we fought for those resources and those stores to bring good quality products and items to our community, and to have those stores destroyed, mom and pop kiosks destroyed senselessly. They are working to recover. I also visited Lexington Market, where vendors are desperately trying to get back to normal and dealing with the damage that was done as well. I want to sincerely thank the Baltimore City Police Department, and I want to thank all of our other law enforcement partners who we have had in our city over the past week. Commissioner, you're going to have to give all the counties who have been here because I can't remember, but I know that several counties in Maryland they have sent us resources over the past week, and they've been extremely supportive, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. And I also, I should have started here, but I'll end here. I want to thank the members of the community, not just the ones that you see here behind me, but the ones that you haven't seen or won't see, that have spent all day yesterday, all day today, trying to figure out how we can come together as a city, how we can heal. We have churches that are opening themselves up to be a sanctuary and a refuge, giving young people who are out of school a place to go and something to eat. We have, so many in our community who are looking for ways to come together to heal. So I want to thank all of them and give a few community members an opportunity to give remarks. The first, I would like to ask Mark Washington of the Coldstream, Homestead, and Tabello community. Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark Washington. I'm Executive Director of Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello. And while we stand here as a disparate group of community leaders and representatives, what I want everyone to know is that we stand united as one Baltimore. And we hear the cries, the frustration, the anger. We understand quite clearly that things need to change in Baltimore City. But what we saw last night was not reflective of the majority of the city or the majority of youth in the city. We saw individuals take advantage of a situation and use it for their own cause. What they did was to try to diminish the legitimacy of the grievances that we do have in this city with the Baltimore City Police Department. I want to make it clear to everyone that not only do I stand in unison with these community leaders here, but I stand in unison with this mayor as we all move together forward for a better and truer Baltimore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, I'd like to ask Mike Barb. I know I saw you somewhere. Where's Mike? Very active in the Sandtown community and with Habitat for Humanity. Mark? Mike, sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Madam
Mark,
Mayor.
Mike.
It's been a long week.
I know it's Barb.
It's been a long week, I understand. Well, so my name is Mike Barb, and my title in my day job is Chief Officer of Programs and Community Engagement for Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake. But I'm also a resident of Sandtown Winchester community for almost the past 10 years. And so the story of the Sandtown Winchester community goes a little bit like this. You know, since 1968, My neighbors in Sandtown have been working to rebuild from the stories we all know following Dr. King's assassination 50 years ago. And it's, for me, it's a little bit personal to the extent that I was born in Baltimore in 1968, just a few months after that horrible time in our history. But our community, and I'm so proud of my neighbors today, particularly for stepping up and working hard to reclaim the community, particularly from those who are trying to destroy it. We know these issues behind everything that we're faced with this week are very, very complex. We are certainly not going to solve those overnight. But from a community perspective, what we're looking for is opportunities to facilitate these conversations and dialogue about these really difficult issues. We understand issues of race and social justice in an American history context are very, very deep and very, very complex. And so that's very much a part of where we are today, and we still have a long way to go. But from the community's perspective, to the extent that I would feel comfortable speaking on behalf of my neighbors, I apologize. It's just you have to. I have such deep admiration and appreciation for the sense of community in the Sandtown Winchester community, and this is a very critical time. But again, today I was so proud to see everybody out and cleaning up, standing up to say this is not right in terms of destroying our own community, and we won't go backwards. We won't go back to 1968. We'll use this as an opportunity to continue the hard conversations and grow and continue the rebuilding efforts that have been going on for a long time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. And last, before I open up to questions, I'd like to ask Mr. Terrell, where are you? Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much for being here as well and standing in unity with our communities.
Thank you.
Tell them your community.
I'm Mark Terrell, the president of the Associated Jewish Community Federation of Baltimore. And let me start by saying I love this city. And I love all the people that have rallied in support of making sure that we get past this. It's clear that change must occur and that injustice corrected. But that needs to be done in a civil and resolute way. And I know that we have the right people together to make sure that we get past this to be an even stronger Baltimore. So I thank everybody for being here and for everybody working towards a productive goal. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank all of the community leaders who love our city so much and are willing to stand up and to help us get information out and to help us to rebuild. And just thank you. I think I'm turning it over to the commissioner. I believe so. I think so. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Batts, who's going to give us a public safety update, and then we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Just a couple thoughts before we get started. My mayor takes a lot of shots, and she's courageous enough to stand up and lead this city. I've been doing this job for a long time, and I've been standing in front of microphones like this and news conferences way too many times. And I've lived through a riot of Rodney King. I've lived through riots in Oakland, and now I'm living through them in the city of Baltimore. And when these things happen, this pain, this trauma that takes place in the community, you don't always see the richness of the community. These people who are standing behind me, these are the people of Baltimore that I know. People who care, who love this city, who are very good people and have do a lot for this community. When you're from Baltimore, you're from Baltimore. It's something that's in your DNA. And at the same time, as I see behind these cameras, my officers boarding that bus behind you, they love Baltimore too. I had officers come up to me and say, I was born and raised in this city. This makes me cry. And one of my officers came and said, I went home and cried last night. This is a sad part of my city. But I think what you're seeing today within our community also is people out celebrating and trying to heal this community. It's clear that what we have to do is change the culture within the Baltimore Police Department. That's something that we've started on 2.5 years ago and doing things totally different. Bringing this community inside this police department. taking the police department and sitting down and reading to 5, 6, and 7-year-old young kids, bringing athletics and making police officers coaches. We have more to do, but we can't do it this way by destroying this beautiful city. We have a lot of things that we need to change, and we're willing to work that direction. Very shortly, we've had a okay day today. We had a small events that took place on the eastern portion of our city early this morning that resulted in a couple of arrests. We had some opportunists go into a couple businesses, but overall today it has been a very good day. I was very pleased to see north in Pennsylvania. We had dancing, we had people celebrating, we had people bringing calm and peace. We had 1 or 2 people that acted up that we made 2 arrests that are out there, but for the most part the city has been calm today. People may ask also and put the question, why didn't you move faster yesterday? Did you prepare yesterday? Yes, we prepared. We had over 200, 300 police officers out there around that mall at the time that it took place. Why didn't you move faster? Because there are 14, 15, and 16-year-old kids out there. Do you want people using force on 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that are out there? And they're old enough to know better. They're old enough to know not to do those things. They're old enough to be accountable, but they're still kids, unfortunately. And so we had to take that into account while we were out there. We will continue to put information out on social media from the Twitter. I will ask that you guys continue to put information out and make sure that the community is aware. We have no exceptions other than for medical or coming and going from work, that we will be stopping people who are out after curfew, that we're taking that seriously. We don't want to engage in any forceful action whatsoever. We have the National Guard here. We also have state police and a multitude of other agencies outside from New Jersey, even from D.C., as well as multiple counties within the state of Maryland. So we'll be out in strong numbers, making sure that we have no issues within our city. And we ask everybody to cooperate and be understanding at this point in time. I know it's a little, it throws people off who want to go out and have dinner and different other events. But as we move forward to calm our city, have a little patience with us as we move forward, please.
Commissioner, in terms of the threat against police officers, are you receiving any new intelligence that's indicating that's still ongoing, or?
We have no new intelligence, but also we had one gentleman who shot at officers last night on one event in the Northwest. But we deal with threats on a common basis. That's the reality of policing. I don't want to focus on that. I'd rather focus on the fact that we have these wonderful citizens behind us in the mirror, standing there, and they're willing to be the positive, not the negative, within our city.
Of Saturday's protest, which ended pretty badly at the end of the night, announced today and as circulating flyers, same thing for a protest here this coming Saturday. Is the city prepared for that, and how does the city respond to that?
We are bringing in a lot of resources. They continue to come in, like I said, from other states, Jersey, Pennsylvania, also from Washington, D.C. area. So our numbers are growing with the National Guard here, state police here also. Our numbers are growing in whole to keep the city quiet and make sure that everyone is safe. You know, it's the same thing. When people come out from outside, it's one thing when people are saying we have pain within our community. It's one thing when people say we want this police organization to change, and since they pay our salary, we need to change to adapt to how the citizenry says here. But when people come outside and hurt this community, and then when it's done, they leave and go home, and then we're in shattered infrastructure, it's just not the right thing to do. So what I've been told is that activists within our community, ministers within our community are trying to have conversations with people who are leading this stuff to remind them this is where we live, this is where we worship, this is where our kids go to school. So don't destroy it.
What's the link between the group of high school students who were demonstrating yesterday and those social media posts about the purge? Did you find a direct connection to that?
I think probably there was a social media posting that said, come out to Madame Mall at 3 o'clock and we're going to do a purge. The only thing I know about Purge is a movie that's a part 1 and part 2 about running on a rampage. The kids came out of high school, so I guess you could make a corollary about some of those kids being out there at that location. Also, that Mondawmin there is also a hub for about, I believe it's about 8 different schools. So on a daily basis, we have big numbers of kids that drop off there on a constant basis. That just wasn't one high school that was there. When we started making mobile field force movements there was buses in line, and they let the kids off the buses. So we had even greater numbers that grew out there.
Commissioner, what's the latest on the injured police officers who are here from New Jersey and Pennsylvania into the National Guard? Do they have arrest powers in Baltimore City, or how does that work? And are you concerned about coordinating all that and keeping them in line with the approach that you're trying to take?
Well, my responsibility as the incident commander that oversees all these responsibilities within the city of Baltimore is to make sure that they act at the level that we have expectations with our citizens and our residents. So we're working through that. I just had a conversation with the colonel of state police. We were discussing how to make sure that we operate appropriately and by the same procedures.
Yesterday we heard one officer was unresponsive.
I'm sorry, one more time.
What's the latest on the injured police officers from last night?
I went. We had a number of police officers, and I have to check on the firefighters. I had about 15 of our officers, and a lot of them were bruises from bruises on their hands from rocks and bottles being taken. I had one officer, Brian, who was in hospital. I went to see him. Got struck in the head. Now he was held overnight because I had to do scans to make sure there wasn't permanent damage. I hear he's doing well. All the rest of my officers have been treated and released at this point in time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We'll be doing another briefing in about an hour from now. Again, we'll continue so long as there's people outside. We'll be briefing every hour.
Live coverage on News Channel 8. We've been listening to Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, Police Commissioner Anthony Batts, and various community leaders. The common theme running throughout all of these news conferences is to urge calm as the curfew takes effect at 10 p.m. Nobody wants to see a repeat of what happened last night, and a beefed-up police presence along with the National Guard will hopefully serve as a deterrent to any violence. Stay with News Channel 8 throughout the evening. We're going to take a break and be back with more.